All right. All right, all right. Now look up ahead where you're going.
All right, I'm looking.
What is up, adventurers? Welcome to Adventuring with Chris. Today I am at Tallulah Gorge State Park here in North Georgia. I am sort of geographically, it's right on the border of like North Carolina, Tennessee, in that like triangle top right hand corner of Georgia. That's right about where we're at. Now, I know you say to yourself, Chris, you typically just do museums and roadside attractions. That's true. But I also like to do state parks, national parks, and I like to hike. So I'm going to be taking you guys on some hikes today. But first, I'm going to take you into the Interpretive Center and the museum and the Welcome Center, where I've already bought a magnet, and my girlfriend got some earrings. And so let's go check out their museum and see what this place is all about. Let's go adventuring. So this is a free national park, not national park, excuse me. This is a free state park run by Georgia Parks and Recreation. So when you come here, the only thing they do charge you is a parking fee of $10 cash. And then everything else is on you. So they do have a permit to go all the way down to the bottom of the gorge, which we are going to do. There's only about 9 trails here total, so it's a smaller state park, but worth it nonetheless. Like most national parks, they have a little fun thing to put your head in here. Get some photos here to the gorge. All right, let's go into the Interpretive Center. All right, so I did scout this place out when I came in. Restrooms, over there is the gift shop. And let me start you off here by taking you in view of the place a little bit. In 1905, the idea to establish this place as a park came into, and then more and more interest. In 93, plans were officially announced. It took them almost 100 years to create it as a state park with a public-private partnership. Georgia Power Company added to Tallulah Gorge. And it's actually one of the most beautiful and significant natural feats in the southeast. Here's Needle's Eye, and here's part of the falls at the bottom. Now, if you come over here, they've got things all about birds. Native plants and birds here. And they do have a bird feeder. I saw a bird a few minutes ago when I walked through here earlier to use the restroom. So, see who this lady is. I'm assuming she's one of the ones who donated to help make this park happen. This is Jane Hurt Yarn. William Wadsworth quote, "Nature never did betray heart or loved her." So here we go. So early visitors here in 1819 to 1961 were artists, writers, travelers, and adventurers that risked life and limb to climb the falls. And here's some of the folks here doing it. Look at that kid. So groups of visitors were already coming here by the 1840s, and the University of Georgia braved poor roads. Students here could come look at. This is not just a single habitation to be seen, except a log house 2 miles from where visitors would stop for refreshments. So students from UGA would come here in the 1800s. Clarksville, beginning port for many of those traveling the falls. Hotels in Clarksville is where you'd stay if you wanted to visit. Then built the Tallulah Falls Railway in 1882, bringing change to Rayburn County. This mountain was a lifeblood at once remote area, and there's the people standing in front of the train. So they actually had to use these railway cars to get from place to place because of how dangerous everything was, I guess, going up and down these high altitudes. There was actually a trestle collapse beneath the weight of the Tallulah Falls engine. So there's the one of the bridges that collapsed. 80 years, the Falls Railway provided a dependable link to other areas. So in 1961 was the last run of the railway from 1854. So I was here for a bit. Some folks swimming. Look at all these old pictures. This is great. A postcard there. Tallulah Falls Dam and intake by night. And this is a natural gorge and falls. This is not man-made. Here's some of the folks that have been here in the Grand Victorian era from 1882 to 1910. It's a destined resort of the South. So in the Victorian era, this was the place to be, to come visit. Some of the things a person in the Victorian era would carry with them: a basket, an umbrella, canes. That's how some of the folks would dress. We would all stay at a place called Glenbrook Cottage and the Grand View in Tallulah Lodge during the Industrial Revolution. This is where folks came, dressed in all their fineries. And there's the lodge, the Grand View Lodge and the Willard House. And here's a mock-up of the lodge, because I guarantee you this lodge is either burnt down or no longer in existence. It's quite fancy, though. It smelled like fried chicken and ham, they said, when people would come here. People came here and did the most photographing. It was one of the most photographed spots in the Southeast, using cameras like this one here and a tripod. Photography was not the same as it was now. Here's some more dioramas of what the area would have looked like in the 1800s, or 1892 to 1913, Tallulah Falls, Georgia. Of course, Appalachian settlers. We are in southern Appalachia Mountains, and as John Denver said, the mountains here are older than the trees. Settlers came through that were Scottish and Irish and German, French, and English immigrants, sat down in the Shenandoah valleys, learned some mountain culture. And here those folks are. Of course, they weren't the first folks here. The early European traders got here from the 1673 and traded with the Cherokee, which were the indigenous peoples here. I've done many videos on the Cherokee peoples. I did a whole video on the Cherokee People Museum. And here's the folks that were already here for thousands of years. And these are the early Cherokee people. They were here for 12,000 years, as a matter of fact, before any Europeans stepped foot here. The Creek and Cherokee people. He had 60 small villages around this area. Highly recommend checking out my video on the Cherokee Museum if you haven't already. I haven't quite gotten my hiking gear on yet. I figured I'd check out the interpretive center first. Always go to your welcome center. Tallulah Falls School had kids of this remote area of a formal education. As a school teacher, I can appreciate this. Of course, I don't know how I would do it, teaching in a one-room school like that. I'd probably lose my mind. I mean, I'm in one room all day, but the kids move around. So 1907 to 1924, things began to change. The railway got bigger and automobiles gained popularity, so the dam construction was completed. So hydroelectric power came into play in 1911 and 1913 with white coal, they called it, the power of a changing time. Like everything during Industrial Revolution, cities were popping up everywhere, and Atlanta and Marietta here needed electricity, so places like where we're at now were used for hydropower. Surveyors came here using these implements during the early 1900s to start looking to dam the place up, and that's exactly what they did. Tallulah Falls power plants, tunnels, penstocks, incline railways, all used. Look at this. Incline 135 guys. That is not safe. This is before OSHA and unions. Here's some of the hydro generators. 40 miles of the gorge, the river begins its journey south into Georgia, becoming part of an extensive southern lake system. So this is kind of where we're at now. It goes all the way down to Atlanta, the Chattahoochee, and it's nuts. And here's modern day Tallulah. We're trying to maintain and keep enjoying the park while maintaining natural resources and respect. All right, let's see if the audio works. Always like to do these. All right, I think it works. It's just really hard to hear. It's basically telling you about hydropower. All right, across the awesome gorge. This is really cool, actually. The most spectacular event promotional here came in 1970 when Hirewire artist Carl Wandela walked across the Tallulah Gorge. Here's one of her outfits. And the British Broadcasting Company, BBC, was here. 300 people and 35,000 visitors endured 93-degree heat to see Carl Wandela, 65-year-old patriarch of the great Wandela circus family, celebrate his 50th anniversary of Highwire by walking Tallulah Gorge on Highwire. 1,000 feet across the gorge from 10-foot tower of the south rim to a 40-foot tower on the north rim, 3:10 p.m. She performed the act. The first one-horned relatives who died in an accident during 1962 performance. Then midway through the walk, he did a second handstand for boys in Vietnam. So she did it, and she was successful. And here's some of the posters and tickets that people actually, there's a portion of the cable and how thin it was. She walked on the Great Wandela across the awesome gorge. It's pretty awesome, actually. All right, so now I'm going to head down to the second story of the Interpretive Center, which is where they've got all kinds of great taxidermy. If you're into taxidermy, some people are, some people find it distasteful. There's a lot of it here. I think taxidermy has its place for teaching people about the biology of an area. So we're going to go down all the way here, and then I'll take you guys back up, just show you some of the taxidermy here they have at Tallulah Gorge State Park. All right, so I made my way to the bottom. Let's look and see what kind of animals they have. This reminded me of the Bass Pro Shop. So as you walk down here at the bottom, they've got all kinds of guys that you're going to see here. We got a prairie dog, or it could be a groundhog too. We've got bobcat. I've actually seen a live one of those in Yosemite National Park. Fun story. I was hiking from one of the waterfalls, and a bobcat, I saw a bunch of birds going crazy, and a bobcat just walked right in front of me on trail. It's kind of neat, actually. All right, so we've got a copperhead, which of course is very indigenous to the area. We've got those in the eastern part of Georgia as well. We got a deer. You see those a lot. There's another bobcat. Get ready to hunt that poor deer. And then we've got fox, great gray fox. Okay, so we're going to switch over here to this side, and we've got our good friend the coyote, great scavenger. And then here is a raven or crow. Okay, down here we've got our good friend the muskrat. Otter. Beaver. Actually, hang on. Let's see here. I think this is the mink. I'm sorry, this is a mink. There's the muskrat. That's the muskrat. And here's the river otter. We got a wild turkey. Another fox. Gray fox. And we got some black bear. Now, I've actually only seen black bear in the wild once in the Great Smoky Mountains, not too far from here, National Park, doing some hiking on Cades Cove. Woodpeckers, owls. All right, so I'm going to go all the way down to the next section. This is where there's more like meeting rooms and things. Teaching you all about preserving the area. So at the bottom, they have a theater, or this is the theater, excuse me, where they have the presentation. So they've actually had Hollywood come here. Let's see what was filmed here. The Great Locomotive Chase, a Walt Disney movie, was filmed here in 1955, starring Fess Parker, Jeff Hunter, and Jeff York. It's an action-packed Civil War adventure. I had no idea. 1956, they filmed it here. Clayton County Railroad, many local residents were employed as extras. They also used it in 94 and 95 on 35 millimeter, using the latest technology exhibited in high definition TV format with a digital surround. Tallulah Gorge takes you on a special journey through one of Georgia's most spectacular natural areas from the air. Interesting. So it's like, I guess, like a film of the air. And then, okay. All right. So before I tell you this next factoid, please watch my video on Deliverance that I already did on Ghost Town in the Sky. Deliverance was filmed here on the nearby Chattahoochee River. And if you don't know what Deliverance is, this movie with Burt Reynolds about Ned Beatty and Ronnie Cox, and they're hikers and they hear banjos. One of the guys that were the hillbillies that played the banjos that were trying to take advantage of them that actually worked at Ghost Town in the Sky. I did a whole video on that. Please check it out. Anyways, it was filmed here, produced and directed by John Borman, and based upon a novel by Atlantean James Dickory. Deliverance is a harrowing adventure about four suburbanites on a canoe trip. Voight, Beatty, and Cox, and many other locals were filmed here, used in the movie. And the crew of 500 nature enthusiasts, rafting explorers, all filmed here. Tallulah Gorge. So I'm going to try and find some of these spots to the best of my ability. But there's Burt Reynolds. When he was filming The Longest Yard, it was either one of my cousins or my uncles actually rented his hotel to him in the cast and crew when they were filming here in Georgia. So, and here's the footsteps through Tallulah. Some of the other things that have happened here. Excursionists came here to tightrope walking across the gorge was huge. I just showed you upstairs where a woman did it in modern day. Well, people did it in the 1880s as well. Walking across the gorge is huge. Rich people came here to vacation during the Victorian era. Hermits came here to live, to get out away from the city. There's Cherokee legends from here. The man who married Thunder's sister. Great word of mouth stories. And now they hear the Nahoochee, a long Cherokee hunters wandered the savannas in search of game. The wild country is inhabited by a race of little men and women in crevices. Like, it's pretty neat. It sounds like fairies and gnomes. Little people lured the Cherokee into caves on the side of Tallulah Gorge. A happy hunting grounds because these little creatures were never heard from again. And it states that James Mooney related more compassionate side to Nahuri's storytelling, care for widows and children, and lease back homes. Almost like David the Gnome type things. Interesting. And here's some more of our wildlife. Frogs, turtles, newts, ground skinks, great blue herons. So we are in the Chattahoochee National Forest also, which is renewable resources of what they operate under the idea of caring for them. Natural resources. They have 749,418 acres of rolling hills, scenic, challenging recreation opportunities, working forest, 114,127 acres of wilderness. And Bradstown Bald, Georgia's highest mountain at 4,784 feet above sea level, is here as well. Take care of our lands, people. You only get one. This is where we have to, as Carl Sagan said, this is where we call our home. Okay, nothing over here. Staff and an elevator. All right, so on this side, I'm just going to take you on the final side of the interpretive center. They've got more things about some of the wildlife here. The lake community, we've got moccasins, the green herons, turtlehead flowers, lake edge, and then some of the other queen snakes, tadpoles, American toads, otters. Here is our good friend, the trash panda, eating what looks like a crawdad, a freshwater crawdad almost. We got ground skinks, salamanders, newts, and of course some owls. There's a baby screech owl here, taxidermied. And we've got a deer and some red-headed woodpeckers. Vibrant ecosystem here in the gorge. Of course, we've got these little guys. I'm sure we'll be seeing those trying to steal food from your backpack. They do have copperheads, so that's copperheads and moccasins are your two types of venomous snakes here in Georgia. And here is, of course, the Cooper's hawk, red-tailed hawks, fox, ground skinks, more. We've got some gray tree frogs, and of course another taxidermied black bear. Which here, as the closer you get to the North Georgia mountains, the more you're going to start seeing black bear. And of course, here's an owl hiding up here, another taxidermied owl. So as John Denver said in the song, Take Me Home, Country Roads, the ancient mountain range, the reason the mountains here in Appalachia Mountains are not rugged like the ones out west is these are old mountains, so they've risen and fallen, and they're covered in old trees. So, but these mountains, though, used to be as taller, if not as tall as the ones in the west. So here's what all the rocks and waters have done over the years to our sedimentary. Can't wait to get down to the bottom floor and see this guy. Ecosystems just teeming here. Everything up from the sun to the decomposers, all good stuff that you learn in middle school science. Now we do have a few live snakes over here, chilling out. This guy's in here. So I hope you've enjoyed this portion of Tooele Gorge National Park. Up next, I'm going to be heading down and doing some hiking. So let me get in my hiking gear, and I'll be with you guys in 1 minute. Okay, so I've got my hiking gear on, and now we're going to start at the top and work our way down. The way this park works is you start at the top of the Overlook Trail, and then you have to get a permit down. Here's the gorge behind me, though. As you can see, the gorge is cut by water. You zoom in, there's the bridge that many people take as they work their way down the gorge. And you can see here that goes all the way up. There's a viewpoint up there. But there's a suspension bridge that works its way down through the gorge. You can see some of the fresh cut mountain here. And the historical placards on the inside that this was all done over millions of years of water erosion from that river. All right, here we go, folks, on the suspension bridge across the gorge. All right, so it's pardon the wobbling here. This is the suspension bridge over the gorge. Came all the way from up there, over 1,000 stairs, and then it goes all the way down. Indiana Jones here with his knife. Make light work of this. This is what's behind me. On the left. All the way up there was one of the welcome stations we were just at. 1,000 feet down. Now somewhere down there is where they filmed parts of the movie Deliverance with Burt Reynolds, Ned Beatty, and John Voight. They came through here while filming. Doing some matchups, I'm pretty sure this is one of the areas, and I'll look for the scenes here to try and match it up for you, where they came through on their kayak. Right around here, and Ned Beatty's shored up there. I'll have to get you some scenes here to show you the exact spot. This side it also could have been on, but I'm gonna do some deep dives and see if I can figure out the exact spot where they filmed this. Alright guys, so we just made it up. The last time I saw you I was at the suspension bridge. I'll show you how high we just came. And now we're at the top of the gorge. We're gonna be looking down on Hurricane Falls, the pool, and Devil's Pulpit. I'm gonna show you all that right now. All right, so here's the gorge itself. Here's the interpretive center where I just took you to the museum and everything. So we went all the way down from there. Trail somewhere in here is the trail. We went all the way down, and then now I'm gonna show you right there is the, where's it? Oh, I just lost it. Suspension bridge. Well, I thought I just saw it. I guess I'm losing it. Nope, there it is. Suspension bridge is right there. Just took you on the suspension bridge. That's where I was last at. All right. Now there's the Devil's Pool and the Devil's Pulpit. Devil's Pool there. And I'm assuming that's Hurricane Falls that you're hearing from up here. Goes all the way up. I can't stress to you guys enough to get out and go to your national parks and your state parks and support them. Unplugging from social media and all of your, internet, social medias and everything, unplug from it and come out to this, it clears your head. Like, honestly, it does a number for your head. There's no cell service out here. It's just you and nature. I mean, this is all around me. Hurricane Falls. Get out to your national parks, get out to your state parks and support them, because this is the kind of stuff you're supporting right here. Let's continue on to the next viewpoint. So this is like your crown jewel overlook here in the entire gorge. There's back to Hurricane Falls. And then we're gonna pan right back over the gorge.
Backing around. Here, watch out. There might be like timber rattlesnakes or something.
Yeah, valid point. All right. Not bad. Not bad at all. That'll do. All right, here's some more fun stuff. I just found this on the rock. Just shows you how long people have been, the Europeans, of course, the Cherokee and the Creek people have been here for 1,200 years, but Europeans started coming through, and here's a carving. EED was here, and that looks like September 17th, 1912. You know, that's the year the Titanic sunk. Nice fun placard here. Rare species of Tula Gorge, and this is the eastern spotted skunk. And it's a striped skunk. Look at that. Alright, here is Hawthorne Pool. And Tempesta Falls and Pool, about 400 feet down from where I'm at now. Now, we just came from a spot where we're about 1,000 feet down. So we're coming down a little bit from the gorge. Here we are at the very top. Now, I did some research back at the Deliverance Center. This was actually share owned by Georgia Power because they're using it for hydropower. So the state and Georgia Power co-own this property. That's why it took from about 1902 to about 1993 for them to finally come to an agreement in turning this into a state park. I'm back up here. There's the interpretive center, that green roof. All the way back down, 400 feet. So as I'm sitting here hiking, some water here. So as I'm finishing up the rim hike here, just a thing, we just passed a girl back there on the bench, almost on the verge of passing out, her mom checking her pulse. A lot of people will come through here and just like, they see a state park, they've got their everyday clothes on, jeans, flip-flops, whatever. They see signs for a trail and they just start hiking. You gotta be careful. You gotta know what your limits are. There's signs up that say, you know, 1,200 stairs down and up, be careful. Some people just don't take that advice and they just do it anyways, and you end up with people, a girl back there nearly passed out. If I see a ranger hiking through here in a minute, I wouldn't be surprised. She was complaining of nausea and then it looked like she was on the verge of passing out. So hydration, be in shape before you come out here. All right, so we've almost made it all the way around down to the bridge. Just crossed that earlier, down and back up. And this is looking back to, let's see the placard here. This is Hawthorne Pool, North Rim Trail, 3 and 4 viewpoints, Tempest Falls, down gorge towards Hurricane Falls, 350 feet down. So there we are, folks. Just came from right there. Somewhere in there is where they filmed Deliverance. Tomorrow when we go down to the gorge, I'll try and get some actual, you gotta get a permit to go down to the gorge. I'll try and get some actual screenshots of Ned Beatty and see if I can find out where he was laid up on the gorge floor down there. And here's some banjos playing. A pretty mouth, boy. Please watch my video where I went to Cherokee, North Carolina, and Burt Reynolds, where he got one of the hillbillies to actually work with him at Ghost Town in the Sky. All right, so we just came to the other side of the park, Tula Falls State Park, to an old jail from the early 1900s. Let's take a look. So here we go. This is what's left of it. They actually moved it. It was an early 1900s jail. And story goes, June 1991, they moved it here about 35 years ago from its location overlooking the lake. I'll show you the lake on the other side. It was rehabilitated November 91, opened back in spring of 92. The building was served as the city hall until the 70s. It was then vacant for more than 10 years. In order to provide public access to historic structure, it was moved. Photographs and letters indicate structure was actually the community's second jail. First was built several feet down into the gorge. After Tula Dam was completed and Tula Lake was being filled, several feet of water flooded the original jail. The building you see was in front of us here is built the construction company to replace the first jail. This summer, research is being conducted to provide major information about the jail, the role played in life and times of Tula Falls community, and the rehab work is complete, they will open this up to a full interpretive center. Here's the jail. It's reminding me a lot of Tuck Everlasting, a book I teach to my 6th graders, where May Tuck is put in jail. And it's a very similar turn of the century jail. Here's the old map. But let's go take a look. Let's walk up the stairs here. They're just using it for storage now, it looks like. I see like Halloween decorations inside of it. But it just kind of wraps around. It's old jail. There's a trailhead there for the Aurora Lake. But I guess this is where the sheriff would have worked. When this is the town of Tooele Falls. I'll show you what I'm talking about. There's like old fun gravestones there. They must do something here for Halloween. The Pioneer Campground and the regular campsite. Whoops. Regular campsite is right nearby. So, all right, let's walk on this side. Here's the lake. So it used to apparently sit further back on this lake, and it was inaccessible to the public. So they moved it. All right, so here's the actual jail. See if I can get you guys in. Oh, they've got like a screen or something covering it up, but there's a bench in there, I think. Yep, there it is. Locked in jail for the night. Here's another one. Get you guys in there to look. But anyways, this is the old Tooele Lake Jail, Tooele Falls Jail. So this trailhead is actually starting on what used to be a bridge here. And again, in the early 1900s, turn of the century, this place was packed and kicking. Victorian era in the late 1800s, and then Industrial Revolution. Here come some guys on kayaks. Let's take a look. Yep, a couple of kayakers here. The Canadian Goose right there. Walk into the trailhead. Canoes? Yeah, those are canoes. They are moving. A couple of people actually. It's a nice day for it. So yeah, here's what used to be a bridge. I don't know if this was part of power company or an old, I think they said it was part of the old highway system that went through here. But yep, not much to it now. Continue onward. So the trail we're on now, Dusty McKay Trail, it clearly used to be a, sorry about that, it clearly used to be parts of a rail system that came through here back in the turn of the century, because if you look, trees have literally started to grow into the bridge. This is abandoned. This is a little more of a quieter trail than the one we were just at. The one we were just at actually, oh yeah. So there's holes in the bridge. It is definitely not structurally sound anymore. The Welcome Center area where the gorge is, that was, dare I say, getting a little too loud. So we found this trail. It's about 3 miles round trip. Some of these state parks are a lot like the national parks. You kind of have to make the trip, if you will, yours. You have to decide how you want to do it. The things that are closest to the Welcome Center are always going to be the most crowded, most loud kids, families, things like that. So if you want kind of a more quiet thing, you go to your backcountry hikes or go find something still technically within the park, but a little further out. It's not going to be as loud. So anyways, you can see now we're on the rail trail system. Let's keep going. Being in Georgia, you are constantly surrounded by big chunks of granite, specifically the further north you go in Georgia. I was going to stop at the Elberton Granite Museum, but they didn't open till 2, and we were trying to get up here to hike before the it got hot. But maybe I'll do another video next time of Granite Museum in Alberton. Here's some, but anyways, here's some huge chunks of granite here on this trail. All right, guys, so working our way out here. I think we're gonna end up with about probably 6 miles for the day, give or take, here on day 1 of Tallulah Gorge State Park in North Georgia on the border with North Carolina and Tennessee. So the cool part, learning about this place, is Georgia Power used it a lot for hydropower back in the day, but it took them like a good 100 years before they decided to give it back over to the state to continue using it for hydropower, but then sort of, it's a really nice lake, but then sort of use it the rest of the time for recreation use. Anyways, make sure to like and subscribe if this is your type of thing. Hit the notification bell. Tomorrow will be day 2, where we got to get a permit to go down to the bottom of the gorge. I go live 5 times a day, 3 times a day, 5 times a week, Monday through Friday. I do museums, roadside attractions, state parks, national parks. Adventuring with Chris. I will catch you guys on the next one. Keep adventuring.